There are moments in life when the universe does not ask if you are ready, simply calls. And for Sagittarius, that call has a particular quality. It does not arrive with trumpets or dramatic revelation. It arrives as a feeling, a quiet, persistent tug in a direction you did not plan for. A sense that the ground beneath your feet is shifting, not to destabilize you, but to redirect you toward something you have not yet imagined. If you have been feeling that tug recently, if you have been noticing that the things which once satisfied you are beginning to feel thin, like they are missing a layer of meaning that you cannot quite name, then you are not losing your way. You are being called in a new way. And what follows are 8 situations that may confirm what your spirit already suspects. Situation 1. The first situation is one that many Sagittarius will recognize immediately, even if they have never spoken about it out loud. You are sitting in a room full of people you know, people you care about, people who have been part of your life for years, and suddenly you feel like a stranger. Not because anyone has excluded you, not because a conflict has created distance, but because something inside you has shifted so fundamentally that the conversations, the jokes, the rhythms that once felt like home now feel like they belong to a different chapter. You smile, you participate, you play your role. But underneath it all, there is a gap that was not there before. This is not loneliness in the traditional sense. This is the loneliness of outgrowing, of becoming someone whose inner landscape no longer matches the outer one. And rather than being a problem to solve, this is a signal. It is telling you that the call you are feeling is real, that the new direction pressing against the edges of your consciousness is not fantasy but necessity. You are not abandoning the people you love by growing beyond the spaces that once held you. You are honoring the truth that every living thing must eventually move toward new light. And when Sagittarius moves toward new light, the journey is never small. It is never half-hearted. It is always an expansion that touches every part of your life. The discomfort you feel in familiar rooms is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something very right is trying to emerge, and it needs room to breathe. Situation 2. The second situation involves a sudden and unexpected return of old memories. Not painful ones necessarily, though some may carry weight, but memories from seasons of your life that you thought were fully closed. A conversation from decades ago that suddenly replays in your mind with new meaning. A face you have forgotten that appears in a dream and leaves you with an emotion you cannot place. A moment of joy from your younger years that visits you with such vividness that you can almost feel the air on your skin again. This resurfacing is not random. It is not your mind wandering aimlessly through the past. It is a recalibration. Your spirit is pulling old files, reviewing them through the lens of who you are now, extracting the wisdom that was buried inside experiences you were not ready to fully understand when they happened. And this process, this quiet archaeological dig through your own history, is part of the calling. Because the new direction you are being pulled toward does not exist in isolation from your past. It is rooted in it. It is the natural next chapter of a story that began long before you realized you were living one. Pay attention to what comes back. Not to relive it, but to receive the message it carries. There is gold buried in those memories, Sagittarius. Gold that only becomes visible when you have enough distance and enough wisdom to recognize it for what it always was. Situation 3. The third situation is one that might feel unsettling at first, but it carries a profound gift. You begin to lose interest in being right. For a sign that thrives on truth, on philosophical clarity, on the pursuit of understanding, this can feel like a crisis. Your opinions, your stances, your carefully constructed worldview, they all start to feel less solid. Not because you were wrong, but because you are expanding beyond the framework that once held those truths in place. This does not mean you become apathetic or that your values dissolve. It means you begin to hold your beliefs with open hands rather than clenched fists. You start to see that truth is not a fixed point but a living thing, constantly evolving, constantly revealing new facets that the previous version of you was not equipped to perceive. The call that Sagittarius is receiving right now includes an invitation to intellectual humility. Not the kind that diminishes your confidence, but the kind that deepens it. Because true confidence does not come from knowing you are right. It comes from being comfortable with not knowing, from being willing to sit in the uncertainty and let the answer arrive in its own time rather than forcing one into existence because the silence feels unbearable. When you release the need to be right, you gain something far more valuable. You gain the ability to be present, to listen without preparing your response, to engage without defending a position. And in that openness, the new direction you are being called toward becomes visible in ways it never could when your mind was cluttered with certainty. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Situation 4. The fourth situation involves a change in what exhausts you. Activities and interactions that once filled you with energy now drain you in ways that are hard to explain. You used to love the constant stimulation, the endless stream of new people, the whirlwind of social engagements and spontaneous adventures that defined your calendar. But lately, you find yourself craving something different, something quieter, something with more substance and less sparkle. This shift in your energy signature is not burnout, though it might feel that way. It is a refinement. Your spirit is becoming more selective about where it invests, and the things that once fueled you are no longer a match for the frequency you are moving toward. This is uncomfortable because it challenges the identity you have built around being the one who is always up for anything. The spontaneous one, the adventurous one, the one who never says no. But the truth is, saying no to what drains you is the most generous thing you can do for the people who genuinely need your presence. Because when you show up depleted, running on obligation rather than inspiration, the people around you feel the difference. They may not name it, but they feel it. And when you show up full, rested, intentional, that is when your presence becomes the gift it was always meant to be. The call that is reaching you right now requires energy. Real energy. Deep energy. The kind you can only access when you stop spending it on things that no longer feed your soul. Situation 5. The fifth situation has to do with dreams. Not goals or aspirations, though those may be shifting too, but the actual dreams that visit you while you sleep. Sagittarius may notice that the dreamscape has changed recently. Dreams that are more vivid, more symbolic, more layered with meaning than the usual nightly wanderings of a restless mind. You might wake up with a feeling that something important happened while you were sleeping, even if you cannot remember the details. You might carry a mood from a dream well into the afternoon, a lingering warmth or an unexplained sadness that has no obvious source in your waking life. This is not insignificant. Your subconscious is processing the call before your conscious mind has fully caught up. It is rehearsing the change, testing the new frequencies, preparing your inner world for a shift that your outer world has not yet reflected. Pay attention to the dreams, even the strange ones, especially the strange ones. Write them down if you can, not to analyze them with rigid interpretation, but to honor the fact that a deeper part of you is already responding to the invitation that your waking self is still deciding whether to accept. The dreams are a preview. They are showing you glimpses of the life that is waiting on the other side of this transition. And while they may not make logical sense in the moment, there will come a time when you look back and realize they were telling you everything you needed to know. Situation 6. The sixth situation is perhaps the most private, the most hidden. It is the emergence of a creative impulse that feels different from anything you have experienced before. Not the scattered creativity of a restless mind jumping from idea to idea, but a focused, almost urgent need to create something specific. Something that carries weight. Something that feels like it has been inside you for a long time, growing in the dark, waiting for the moment when you would finally have the courage, the stillness, and the readiness to bring it into the world. This creative impulse might express itself as a desire to write, to paint, to build, to teach, to heal, to start something entirely new. The form matters less than the feeling behind it. And the feeling is one of necessity, not in the desperate sense but in the sacred sense. As if the thing trying to come through you is not optional. As if your life will feel incomplete until you give it shape. Sagittarius is no stranger to creative energy. But this particular surge is different because it is connected to the calling. It is not creativity for its own sake. It is creativity as a response to transformation. It is your spirit saying, I am changing and I need to express that change in a form that the world can see. Do not ignore this impulse. Do not wait until you feel qualified or prepared or confident enough. The impulse itself is the qualification. The desire is the preparation. And the confidence will come not before you begin, but because you begin. Some people watch. Others transform. If you want to be in the second group, The 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting. It's about moving. Situation 7. The 7th situation involves a shift in the way you experience gratitude. Not the surface-level gratitude that shows up in daily affirmations or lists of things you are thankful for, but a deeper, more visceral appreciation for things you used to take for granted. The morning light coming through your window, the sound of someone you love moving through the house, the weight of a warm cup in your hands, the feeling of your own breath entering and leaving your body without any effort on your part. These small, unremarkable moments are suddenly becoming luminous. They are shining with a significance that makes you want to stop and hold them, to press them into your memory like flowers in a book. This shift is not sentimentality. It is awareness. Your spirit is widening its lens, pulling back from the constant forward motion that defines your sign, and showing you that the life you have been searching for is not somewhere ahead of you. It is already here. It is in the texture of your ordinary days, in the details you have been rushing past on your way to something you thought would be better. This deepened gratitude is a sign that you are being called into a more present way of living. Not slower necessarily, but more aware. More connected to the moment you are in rather than the moment you are anticipating. And for Sagittarius, who has spent so much of life leaning forward, learning to lean in, into the now, into the here, into the small and sacred ordinary, is one of the most transformative responses you can offer to the call that is reaching you. Situation 8. The 8th and final situation is the one that ties everything together. You begin to feel, in a way that transcends words, that you are exactly where you need to be. Not where you plan to be. Not where you thought you should be. Not where others expected you to end up. But precisely, exactly, undeniably where the full arc of your life was always leading. This feeling does not erase the longing for growth. It does not eliminate the restlessness or the hunger for expansion that defines your sign, but it places those feelings in a new context. They are no longer symptoms of dissatisfaction. They are signs of readiness. They are the proof that you have done enough inner work, traveled enough inner miles, shed enough old skins to be standing exactly at the threshold where the next version of your life begins. This is the call, Sagittarius. Not a call to go somewhere else. Not a call to become someone different, but a call to become more fully, more deeply, more courageously who you already are. To stop hiding the parts of yourself that do not fit neatly into the roles you have been given. To stop apologizing for the fire that lives inside you. To stop waiting for permission from a world that will never fully understand why you burn the way you do. You are being called in a new way because you are ready for a new way. The old path served you well, brought you here. And here is exactly where the new path begins. Everything you have just heard is not a prediction of what will happen to you. It is a mirror of what is already happening inside you. These 8 situations are not hypothetical. They are real. They are active. They are moving through your life right now, whether you have noticed them or not. And the fact that you are here, listening, receiving, taking this in, that is not a coincidence. That is confirmation. You are being called. And the only question that remains is not whether the call is real, but whether you will answer it with the full force of who you are. Because Sagittarius does not answer calls halfway. When you respond with everything. With your fire, your faith, your relentless hunger for truth, and the kind of courage that most people only dream about. So answer, Sagittarius. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. The new way is not waiting in the future. It is waiting in you. You have 2 options after this video. Close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.